care about the scene. I care about people being happy and doing things that they love. I want to bring it back to that mom and pop feel where you go into the hardware store and you know Tim's going to sell you the good screwdriver because he went and saw your kid play ball last week, you know, that kind of shit.
The goal is just to put on a better show than we did last year. For me, every year, just to be better. You know what I mean? You wake up every day and you want to be better than you were yesterday. So at the end of the day, that's what, you know, with Sacred Harvest, what my intentions are, where we're at.
Here we are on the Weird Music Podcast. We got Tim and Andrew. I got my green screen. Tim's on vacation. Andrew is throwing Sacred Harvest Music Festival here in a couple weeks. This episode is going to be all about fucking the behind the scenes of throwing a festival. Like, so much goes into it. Such cool work. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Tim here. Tim's with a ticketing company. You've probably been to a number of festivals that he's been involved with if you're listening to this. What inspired you to get into this in the first place? Tim, let's start with you.
Honestly, if we go all the way back, blah, 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 prehistoric times, just attending festivals, enjoying them, loving them, started working more and more with bands and things like that because I do web development. So I started building out band websites, doing some different things for some production managers, that kind of thing. And then eventually the opportunity opened up. I had a partner of mine talk about doing some ticketing. We did some of that together for his venue. I left that and did some corporate America stuff for a while. And then I came back and just this year actually decided to open back up because I work with the people over at like Pyro Music and Arts Festival, Spring Phoenix, that kind of jam. And he came to me with a problem, said he needed some ticketing help. And, I've known Joe for years and asked if I could jump in and help. So jumped in, helped for the first 2 years, realized, oh my God, this could be fun and lucrative. So I got into it because I'm in the scene. So I figured, the void I fill is that I'm not Ticketmaster. I'm not these big guys, which nothing wrong with them. I'm the person who actually goes to the music festival. So I understand that kind of scene and stuff. So that's what makes me special for that industry. But I got into it honestly because I wanted to make money and a living doing something I loved. I wanted to go to music festivals for the rest of my life. So that's kind of what drove me to get into it.
No regrets thus far?
Not this far. So far, we're doing all right.
Right on. Andrew, I know. So we've had Andrew on. There was a first generation of this podcast. It was on a different Spotify channel, which doesn't exist anymore. So he is an alumni. But Andrew, I know you've got, a heart and soul behind why you got involved in the music industry.
Yeah, definitely. I can touch on what he was just saying, though, about how it's not work at the end of the day. As cliche as it sounds, you pick something that you love to do and you don't work a day for the rest of your life. And I feel like in some capacity or another, a lot of us are kind of told that, but that remains true for me. I really do love what I do. I love to, lift up other people and, spread light and love through music. That's really awesome to hear too, that he works with Joe. Joe and I don't know each other personally, but I know we have a lot of mutual friends, and kind of what you were saying earlier too, where he doesn't like to do stuff on the same weekend if he can help it. And we've always been really try to be outreaching with Sacred Harvest, because we're all on the same team. We're all on the Ohio music scene. We all want to see each other succeed. So just being communicative and upfront with that goes a long way. So that's awesome to hear. But at the end of the day, that's why I do it too, man. It's just something I love and it's not work for me.
Andrew, take me to that moment when you weren't throwing shows and you decided, you know what, I'm going to start doing this.
I would have been finishing up school at University of Toledo because I graduated in December 2016. I have a bachelor's of business administration, and I had a minor in entrepreneurship, and some of those classes really interested me. I mean, they didn't talk about music business or anything like that. There was no focus like that. But as I got back into school too, and I had overcome some personal issues, I was addicted to opiates for a few years too. So when I, saw the light and kind of got back to everything like that, I don't know if there was like one particular moment where it hit me, but it was just kind of reconnecting with old friends. The first band that I ever booked for is Indigrass, who's a local bluegrass band up here in Toledo. And I grew up with their mandolin player, Dylan, and he was really, really encouraging of me to go and try to pursue this or help them, or he saw something in me before anybody else did, I would have to say. So without his encouragement in the very beginning, I'm not sure I'd be sitting here, but.
Wow, man. Yeah. You've got an incredible story. I want to know, like, what traits about you have kind of led you to be successful to the degree that you have on this path?
I guess multitasking. I'm a busybody. I can juggle a few things at once. Like I said, I do have a bachelor's of business administration. It was a focus in operations management, which is kind of a broad major, but I think that helped me more than I realized too. I mean, I've been out of school for 4 or 5 years now, but I'm really appreciative that I did go back to school when I did and finished like that.
And so we got Tim here also, marketing pro, ticketing whiz. As an entrepreneur, I mean, working with you both is awesome. Tim, what do you think about you, like, has brought you to this point to be, you know, operating your own business, shows at Nelson's Ledges all around the Midwest? Like, what do you think's allowed you to be successful, honestly, about yourself?
Constant work. And I wouldn't say constant work like slave to the grind, but I mean, some of it is that it's really just keeping going and honestly putting too many, for me specifically, I always bite off way more than I can chew. So that's kind of like what I claim is my secret. So I try, anybody who needs help with anything, I'm down to do it. You know, I'm a yes man. So if you're like, oh, I need this, and this, I tell everybody anything is possible. Not everything's profitable. So I could do anything you want. I could figure it out. Doesn't matter. And that's how I've always gone at it. So when people come to me and go, hey man, I need this done, and I have no clue how to do it, I still tell them, yeah, we can do it. And it goes back to like, fake it till you make it. That's what I was always told in school. And honestly, it's carried me pretty far. And I feel that you just got to try it. You know, long story short is if you give it a go, it might not end up bad. You know, you just keep trying, you know, and you'll find stuff that you like. So for me, I started school like for young adult education to teach kids and stuff like that. And then I switched into economics and then into programming and, you know, just keep jumping through all these different hoops. And I realized nothing in the corporate world for me was going to make me super happy. And I needed to do something that was outside of that realm. You know, I have a lot of different people I look up to, and most of them live unconventional lives. You know, they don't work the 9 to 5. They value time over money. That's another thing, is time over money for me. I need to enjoy myself. And if I make money doing that, awesome.
A lot to unpack there. You said working a lot, but also like you alluded to a willingness to just learn things. Like with anything, there's so many like little side skills, like Andrew, like throwing a festival, like how many little individual different skills do you have to like be somewhat proficient in? Like so many.
Organization is just huge too. Just there, like you said, there's so many moving pieces to it all when you really get down to the logistics of it. And I think that's why I've always kind of thrived into, like I said, I'm a multitasker. I like what he was saying. I'm a yes man too. So I can totally relate to some of that stuff. Just having the stubborn persistence that I do, man. You know what I mean? You're gambling when you throw outdoor shows. You know, you might do very great, but you might lose some money too. And I mean, it's ups and downs. So you can't let the losses like just punch you too hard. You know what I mean? You got to just keep going. So having that determination and just stubborn persistence has really helped me too along the last going on the over 5 years now since I've really started pursuing music as like a serious profession, you know?
So Worm, tell me, what's like a festival that you look up to, that inspires you, that you want to model after almost?
I go to workout almost every year. I go to Hookahville too when I can. I mean, you got a lot of good examples. You got Pyro, like he said.
Yeah.
There's a lot of awesome festivals in Ohio, and we have like quite a different culture when it comes to music festivals in a lot of other states too. And even the smaller festivals like ourselves and other ones, I just think there's a lot more of them in our state or in the Midwest in this specific area than kind of other places. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it. You know what I mean? But we look up to a lot of those guys. I haven't missed a workout since probably 2014. I was fortunate enough to work for Kenny in 2019 at the 10th one, which was, like you said, man, just learned a bunch. Just being accountable and watching and putting in the 18, 20-hour days, but it's just so rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, and I think like a big part of it is not being afraid to learn things that have nothing to do with what you do. So, for example, this year I went and worked Fall or Phoenix Rising and Pyro just at the ticket booth, just seeing how all of the logistics of that happen. I build the systems, I build all the programs, I sell the tickets, but I don't, not necessarily at that point in my time, I didn't go and actually see what the people checking in tickets were doing, what kind of people those were, and seeing all the different things. I have mad respect for you, man. Throwing a festival is crazy. Like all of the crazy little skills that you don't even realize that you need to have, you're all of a sudden you're a plumber, you're every single job that comes up, that's your fucking job. Excuse my language. That's your job. And you're like, wow, man, I thought I was throwing a great show. I didn't realize today that I was an electrician. Awesome. Like that's a new one for me. I'm a parking attendant. Great. So I have crazy respect for that. That's nuts.
I appreciate it. Yeah. There's a lot of different dynamics that go into it. And again, we have between 300 and 500 people come to Sacred Harvest every year, where some of these numbers are, thousands and thousands of people. So it's just always mind blowing to me though, with how much goes into throwing the smaller ones too. And then you go to some of the bigger ones and you're just like, wow.
I think actually there's a complexity to smaller festivals that the bigger ones actually escape. With a hard escape. So they get out of it, because what happens is when you get these huge festivals, when you're talking about like summer camp and things like that, these guys will hire full security staffs. They'll hire full medic teams. Most people have full medic teams, but you'll hire these full different divisions that'll actually come in and contract for you and do it for you. When you're doing small festivals, the capital's not there for that.
Right.
So you have to go out and find your own medic team. You have to go out and find your own, security. So it's not the same thing. It's a lot harder.
So Tim, marketing whiz. I love talking about marketing.
Of course you do.
Let's hear a 101 kind of marketing theory that is kind of at the center of from where you operate from. We've discussed this. I love the way you approach your business, and I think it would be valuable, for anyone out there, any entrepreneur affiliated with any brand, festival, band, would definitely be good to kind of hear some of your 101 wisdom here, Mr. Tim.
I mean, are you talking about my business philosophy, or are we talking about marketing? Two separate things.
Yeah, but just general philosophy. It both definitely work. I mean,
general philosophy for me is I think what you're referring to, Cam, is kind of what I preach about all the time is, I'm this guy who, as long as I don't need to make $1 million to be happy. That's, like I said before, time is my happiness, not money. So my big thing is if I can eat, you should eat. We should all be able to eat. That's how it is. So my big thing is I like to make sure that whoever I'm working with, my partners, whether it's a festival, whichever one it is, or whatever venue, I try to make sure that my fees are manageable to them. Okay. And, and I try to make sure that what I charge them isn't hindering them in any way. Okay. Because that's not what I want to do. I want to come in here, give you a great service, and charge minimal to nothing fees. Okay. I don't care about money. I care about the scene. I care about people being happy and doing things that they love. And I know that sounds like a gimmick, but it's really not. I don't advertise. I don't do any of that because I just think it's, I don't know, gimmicky. I think, oh, I'm better than this guy. I'm better than the guy. I'm no better than, there's a bunch of other ticketing companies, Cincy, let's give some people some air, some Cincy Ticket, there's Ticket Spice. There's all these other different guys that do exactly what I do. What makes my business special is me, Tim. Okay. I come to the festivals. Like I said, I'm in that scene. When I sell my ticketing to you, I will actually come and service that. I'm up at 2 a.m. if you need me. My big thing is providing a service and helping a group of people out. I'm not trying to get 1 million people under my belt, so I'm a millionaire. I want 25, 30 festivals under my belt, so that way I can go to every one of them every year and schlum around with the owners and have fun and really see the magic of each one of my clients puts on. That's what I care about. I care about having fun as long as it, obviously, you got to be realistic and, pay for your housing and whatever you have. You got to be an adult at some point in your life, unfortunately. So, I have my bills and whatever. I figured that out, but I'm not trying to make $1 million over that. I have my bills, and as long as I can pay that and enjoy myself, that's my goal. I want my clients to make $1 million because they have bigger goals than me. They have more stressors than me, more investments, things like that.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about keeping things small scale. Like things, they don't have to be bigger than they need to be necessarily.
Bigger is not always better. I prefer a personal service. You could go out and you could use Eventbrite tomorrow. You know what I mean? You really could. And there's nothing wrong. Again, I'm not attacking anybody. There's nothing wrong with Eventbrite. But Eventbrite's not going to have Tim behind it. You're not going to have a cell phone number of the guy down the street that you can call, or who, like today, I ran all the way to Columbus, 2.5 hours from me, just to make sure my clients were 2 weeks ahead of their event, to make sure that they understood how the ticketing worked, ran through them with them. I'm not just sending them a list of people to check in. I go through everything with them. They asked me if I could be on site. Guess what? August 22nd, I'm going to be in Columbus. So Cam, if you want to hang out the next day, so that's what's special about me, is I care about my clients. And I think that's kind of been lost in American capitalism, consumerism, which it's to be expected, but I want to bring it back to that mom and pop feel, where you go into the hardware store and Tim's going to sell you the good screwdriver because he went and saw your kid play ball last week, that kind of shit.
That's kind of why, that does pertain to small festivals too, though. I think that same energy of just care.
I think that's why we have such loyal following of people that have been there multiple years and keep coming back, because of the vibe that we have all created together. And I mean, it's the bands, it's the property. We have a really special venue out where we are in Grand Rapids, Ohio. So I think it's all that goes into it. Yeah. And for me too, in my personal experiences, like my 2 first festivals 9 years ago were All Good, which was, larger one, like summer camp, a lot of big names.
Yeah.
And that. And then the second one, though, was Rootwire, that Papadozio was a big part of. And that was, just right down the road from Columbus. And I don't know, it was in the Hocking Hills region, north of Athens somewhere. But I just remember how awesome that Rootwire festival was. I mean, it was obviously a lot smaller than All Good. So when you go to one music festival, you don't know what to expect at the second one. That was really, really cool and really unique. That Rootwire that they had there for a couple of years when it was still in Ohio was really, really awesome event.
You've got a lot of entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley microdosing on mushrooms. Let me ask you two hippies.
Oh, man.
Do psychedelics inspire you at all?
The science is there. So it's just, what experience you have with it here and there. Like, for me, obviously, outside of like having fun, I don't have any like production system, that has been benefited by microdosing or anything like that. I don't really do anything but smoke. And that's just because that's what I'm comfortable with. It's not because I look down upon anybody or hate on this or that. I find that's what puts me in a comfortable headspace to program and get all my work done. And so that's how I feel about it. But, if you're out here and you're microdosing to be whatever the instance is, but skateboarders do it, so that way their reaction processes are faster, and science backs that up. So there's definitely, I think good uses for it, for anything really. Just learn all the time. That's my big thing. Whether you do it in school traditionally or you do it in different programs, just constantly be learning. Anytime that you're not advancing, you're stagnant. That's just boring to me.
Andrew, why do you throw a festival? Like, what's your favorite part of doing it?
There's just something about the camaraderie, especially I think we get this too more at the smaller festival, how we were talking with the vibe and just the connection with everybody. You know what I mean? It's all one. It's one living, breathing thing that comes together one weekend every year. And it inspires me to see other people be inspired by it. Like I had, for instance, I'm just going to give you one example. My friend Jacob, who's from up this way, he sent me a message about 2 months ago, and it was thanking me, and it was just saying, I appreciate you being the person that you are, doing, the music that you put on, et cetera, et cetera. But he said, you really do go out and promote and hand out business cards and put flyers up. And he said, I just caught you the one Sunday at a free show in the Old West End in Toledo, and it was Being Grateful, Our Buddy's Dead tribute band. And he said that's when he learned about, the venue that we have out here in Grand Rapids and Harvest and stuff. And he told me that he's an artist, and he makes art. And he said he hadn't touched his art in 4 or 5 years, and it inspired him to get back into his art. And that was like the biggest compliment, one of the biggest compliments I've ever received in my life. You know what I mean? So just that's one example, but maybe, I mean, there's probably a lot of other examples that I don't, know about or that other people talk about. So those little things like that are stuff that really keeps me going, man.
Do you want Sacred Harvest to be like larger in scale? What is your intention behind having it be the way it is?
To give that organic feel that a music festival has, like when they originally did it, like Woodstock was in someone's backyard, you know what I mean, at a farm. And like Sacred Harvest is in someone's backyard, but it's an awesome, beautiful space that we really create some magic at. So a lot of people say that too. Oh, I can't wait to get bigger and grow. And at the same time, I think that will always keep Sacred Harvest where it's at. Just, I think it's just the venue and everything about it. It's not to say that I'll never go on and do other ventures that are bigger. I would love to do that someday, regardless of where they may be. You know what I mean? But as far as Sacred Harvest goes, I think that the goal is just to put on a better show than we did last year. For me, every year, is just to be better. You know what I mean? You wake up every day and you want to be better than you were yesterday. So at the end of the day, that's what, with Sacred Harvest, what my intentions are, where we're at.
What about you, man? What inspires you to do podcasts, brother? Let's interview the interviewer, brother.
Well, it's a cool way to have, deep conversations with people who I'm curious to speak with, like things I'm interested in. Like, we're all nerds about something, and it's a very seamless way to nerd out with people like me. It inspires me. Like, these are inspirational conversations for sure. Man, like being in like promotions music, there's so few good interviews that like my favorite musicians, I've only been in so many good interviews, and the majority of any decent interview is just written word. Like, you'll see it in an article with quotations. But in terms of just like, boom, like CNN 60 Minutes or what, just a great interview there. I love listening to interviews. I like people who are my favorite people, whether it's athletes, musicians, whatever. I love to listen to their interviews. And yeah, there's just not a lot of great interviews for these like smaller musicians, I would say, that exist in this kind of raw form. Going to shows, we all can relate to that special moment, like jaw drop, like tear coming down your face.
Yeah,
this
first face melt.
The scene is special, and like anyway, we all can find our own way to kind of contribute. Feels good to contribute to something that means so much to me. Kind of my little way. Yeah, I like that question.
That's awesome.
Man. You do good follow-up questions too. I really like when you obviously I got a script here of like your setup of questions, but you don't know what people are going to say to you. And I'm always impressed with the thoughtfulness of your follow-up. It's always better than I could do. I'm really bad at follow-up. I'm like, oh yeah, I listened, but now I don't know what to ask you. So I always like that. I always thought your follow-ups were great.
Thank you. But man, SEM Tickets, Sacred Harvest, Tim, I want to know like whether or not anyone is the kind of person who would like be in the market for your services. What is something you hope people know truly about SEM Tickets, about, why it exists, what it even means?
I want my customers to keep all of the power. So when I say that, I want tickets to be sold on your website. You have all of the emails. You have all of the money going to you instantly. I don't hold any of your money. The biggest thing about SEM Tickets is you pay me. I don't pay you. So every ticket you sell, that instantly goes into your bank account, not mine. After the festival, after the event, after whatever it is, the class, because I do some schoolrooms, then I'll send you an invoice, say, hey, you sold 500 tickets, here's my fee. And my big thing is because I want my clients to have that money right now. There's a lot of these smaller shows out there that really operate off their pre-reg. So, they sell 1,000 tickets before the festival. That gives them a good operating capital to get more artists, to get better insurances in place so everybody can fire spin, whatever the case is. And it gives them the ability to do more things. So I don't want to hold on to that money. I don't want you to ask me for it. It's not mine. The big thing I want people to know about me is it's a very personal business. It means a lot to me. It's my blood, sweat, and tears. There's one guy here I plan on bringing on one other person just so if Tim wants to sleep for a night, he can sleep. But the big thing is, I'm a very personable guy. I want to get to know you. I want to meet you. If you're looking for somebody who's just gonna, you get to call into a number, have an agent, yada yada. I'm not your guy. I'm the guy. If you want to shoot me a random text in the morning, say, "Hey man, what if we added vending? And can we add that by tomorrow morning at noon?" I'm the guy you want if you want to do that. I try to make everything very small town, hometown feel. I want everybody to know my name personally, who I work with. I want to have lunch with them, send them a Christmas card. That's kind of how I look at it.
I have much respect for people who still are not jaded to, be in the business world, but can like kind of lead things in a better direction. Like it is with any, person throwing some sort of amazing event. Tim, SEM Tickets, Andrew, what framework are you operating from in deciding how you curate your festival?
Originally, and we still try to keep it that way, but from the very first year and like our intentions with it, which I always say that too, like what, when you have a festival, what are your intentions with it? And you gotta have the right intentions to make it successful. Is that like we wanted to focus more Toledo. There hasn't really been a music fest. There's a lot, like we talk about, there's lots of Ohio music festivals. There haven't really up this way in Northwest Ohio. So it's a way for us to bring in awesome artists and bands in the scene. Like I said, we have Octave Cat this year. But then if you go further down the lineup, there's still a lot of Toledo and local Northwest Ohio bands that we get to feature on that. So we go from there. We also book some Michigan bands, kind of bring more of a bridge between those communities, because like West Michigan and Michigan, there's a lot of really awesome bands and music up there. And, being in Toledo, we're only an hour from Detroit. We're only less than an hour from Ann Arbor. So the other headliner we have this year too, Left Lane Cruisers, actually from Fort Wayne, Indiana too. So that's only, an hour and a half from where we're at. So when we first started, it was, we had Electric Orange Peel and we had Conscious Pilot. And besides those two, it was all Toledo bands the very first year and a DJ or two. And so then it's kind of grown off since that, but it's really kept its roots where we do still have, mostly local artists, and we love to help uplift them and help uplift everybody.
I can't wait to be there. Tim, maybe I can bring you with me. It's the last weekend of September. I'm going to have a link to festival in the description, link to the ticketing in the description. This has been awesome. Any final words from either of you?
Cam, as always, thank you for bringing everybody together. I love listening, love being a part of it. I'm always going to be shooting for that co-host role,
Well, I think you passed your audition today. Hell yeah. This has been awesome. I'll see you all at Sacred Harvest. This has been the Weird Music Podcast. Keep it weird, y'all.